Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individual guests or creators and do not necessarily represent the views of their employers, business partners, affiliates, or advertisers. Any opinions, advice, or statements made on this podcast are not intended to be taken as fact or professional advice. Please consult a qualified professional before making any decisions based on the content of this podcast.
Hi everybody, welcome to Untapped Azania. My name is Maureen, the even the queen, the even the princess, opinion or the answer, whichever one you prefer. Welcome to another episode. I do not chill alone. I chill with the one and only
Mash D.
How you doing, Mash D?
I'm fresh and my fresh just get
fresher.
fresher.
What's the mood? What's the temperature, my dog?
The diamonds in production are glowing greater than the pressure.
Love that. Welcome to another episode once again. If you're new here, please like, subscribe. Let us know what you've been tapped into so we can tap into that as well. If you're returning and you haven't subscribed, what have you been waiting for? Like, subscribe. Hit us up on our social media because we'd like to hear from you. But without wasting any time, my dog, what have you been tapped into?
Fam. We're back. We're back in the blogging era.
Ooh.
I don't know if you watched the Red Bull Spiral Freestyle.
Oh, yeah.
That featured Absol, Joey Bada, Big Sean. Joey. Damn. But
Joey.
yeah, that's what I've been tapped into. It's been on repeat, man. I've watched it so many times. I can't even count. And yeah, they delivered.
Yeah.
They all delivered.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, they all just reminded us that they come from the most elite era of rap. I have quite a number of thoughts on the whole thing because obviously they all came through with the smoke.
Everyone was
You know, some came with a bit more smoke than others. Firstly, I feel like Sean has this thing, man, where he's always caught in the crossfires. You know, like he's always, I don't know, it's very unfortunate.
Always.
Like that Kendrick control moment.
He always his timing is, I don't know what happens with this timing.
Yeah.
But it's always like when he does something, somebody else
That's
does
big, something of a great magnitude.
Yeah,
because you think of that, you think of Control and you think of Jay Electronica's verse, you think of Big Sean's verse. Amazing verses, probably better than the K Dot verse, but like what K Dot had to say.
Yeah.
Just, you know, change the trajectory of both their careers. Mainly Sean's career. Same thing with the with the cypher. I feel like Sean delivered. Like I'm listening to it and I'm like, damn, like son, you came through, you know. And even just like, even the shots that he was throwing, they were just like minor jabs that were like more was sparring. It's fun, you know. And I feel like the sort of momentum and the heat got more fiery as, you know, when Soul is like, ask Nene who her favorite rapper is. And I was like, okay,
Sorry.
Damn, okay.
That's personal.
It was personal, you know, and it made me, you see when I say you can't, the girls, women, you're our worst enemy.
We can't be catching strays every week.
No, women are our worst enemy, bro.
Right?
Like, you think you're good, you're cozy with your girl. That time she's
you're not
out.
a favorite rapper.
She's out telling Ebro on an interview that if I was a rapper, I'd probably be Absol. So that was hilarious. But like when Joey comes in,
hey Joey,
I was like, okay, he wants all the smoke. You know, he wants all the smoke. But what was more interesting for me, right, was sure he called out Daylight, he called out Rayvon, but like Rayvon's response, I don't know if you came across that.
No, I haven't seen it.
He actually responded in less than an hour. I mean less than a day. Not less than an hour, less than a day, right? With the diss song called Ho Era. and it's like a play on pro era, you know. And he went in, like he said something like, just because you're standing next to Soul doesn't mean it's like he saves you, like it saves yours, you know. You can't claim to be holding the torch when Ice Spice is the king of New York. Yeah.
You see, ladies catching
like you're a better you're a better actor than you are a rapper. So
well, he's not. I mean, Joey, let's be honest about Joey.
Yeah.
Like, we've been seeing him a lot more on, like, our TV screens, if you compare it to...
I hear that, but Joey is a phenomenal rapper.
He is.
For me, I always make the argument that the closest thing to Illmatic from a rap context, because Illmatic is always dubbed a masterpiece, also because of the age, right? How old Nas was when he dropped. I think he was 17 when he was done with the full body of work, right? I think the closest equivalent to Illmatic is Joey's 1999, Ceteris Paribus. Like, I can't think of a rapper that dropped a project of that magnitude at such a young age.
Okay.
I'm not saying 1999 is Illmatic equivalent. I'm saying 1999 is the closest thing we've ever gotten to Illmatic. Like, think about kids that are dropping. Like, kids have dropped cool albums when they were very young. Jaden has dropped a cool album when he was very young.
How old was Kendrick when he dropped Good Kid, Mad City?
He was much older.
Okay.
I'm sure early 20s.
Okay, fair.
I'm sure.
I'm trying to think.
I'm saying teenagers. I'm talking teenagers.
I feel like in my head there's something better, but there's nothing coming up.
Yeah, the thing is, it's so difficult.
Rory had.
But he wasn't. That was 2014, 15. Right.
How old was Rory? And he's like
All We Need.
Yes, All We Need. All We Need.
He was like, probably a teen.
Yeah, he was a teen, wasn't he?
Rory is like what, 90?
Wait, I would need to check.
Okay.
I actually need to check this.
Yeah, let's verify.
Because
if Rory was a teenager, then you actually brought up a cool argument.
Wait, let me.
If All We Need dropped when Rory was a teenager, then yes.
Let's check how old Rory is.
Then yes.
Let's see.
How old Rory was when he dropped All We Need.
Okay. Wait. He's 28. And he dropped it in?
2014, 2015.
He was definitely a teenager. He was like 17, 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely a teenager.
Yeah.
So All We Need is a great contender.
But yeah, it is a great contender. But I still stand by my words. All We Need is I would say is just as great an album as 1999. I wouldn't say it's way better, but I'm just saying we could make the argument, the untapped argument that the closest rap project or body of work to Illmatic is Rory's All We Need and Joey Bada's. But for the purpose of this argument, I was bringing that up in the whole chat around Joey not being a greater actor than he is a rapper. He is a phenomenal actor, and sometimes when that happens, maybe it's like also the Ludacris phenomenon where Ludacris is a phenomenal rapper, but because he's done so well in acting, it can come across as if he's a better actor than he is a rapper.
I feel you.
But yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of Joey Bada's actually has pivotal moments. I think when he did All American Badass 2017, I feel like that also sort of shifted the trajectory of his career because of the subject matter he chose to go with.
Yeah.
Like he could have literally chose to go full commercial at that
Yeah.
point and not choose the people. But he went with, yo, I'm going to expose white supremacy.
But that
I'm
was a
going
great
to
body of
go
work.
consciousness. Yes, exactly. It was a great body of work. You know, the 3-pack with the light, where he also has no explanation, where he featured
Yo.
Pusha T. That was great.
Yo.
His most recent, I mean, 2000. It's a great project, but it didn't live up to expectations. But I wouldn't say Joey Badass is not a phenomenal.
I mean, he
rapper.
is.
Yeah.
I just think what you're saying reminds me of actually two things, right? Or it makes me think of two things. One is just branding, and the other one I thought of, and now I forgot what it is. I think I'll remember it as I'm talking, but specifically around branding, because I saw a video this week of a lady talking about different artists and their specific brand and how they've pushed that into different ways. Like,
it's not just about how good you are, it's about what people feel when they hear your name. So here's part 3 of my series of proving talent isn't enough with rapid fire artist reviews through the lens of brand, feeling, and strategy. And today we're doing the men. Okay, first up, we've got Brent Faiyaz. He doesn't really sing to you, he sings about you. He's a bit detached, cinematic, emotionally unavailable, but vocally able to pull you in. Brent's brand is more mood than meaning. His aesthetic, it's vulnerability with ego, and that duality has worked well for him. I'm actually expecting a brand inflection point where they build to the story and allow us to step deeper into his world. Next up, we've got Harry Styles. Okay, I had to sit with this one for a minute, but Harry is where nostalgia meets nonchalance. He's not the best vocalist, even in his genre, but he doesn't have to be. Harry's power is in curation. He blends British boy next door and charm with Bowie-level experimentation. He's got androgyny, kindness, a little bit of camp, cool. Everything is carefully undone. Everything from his look to his music feels effortless but intentional. And that's what makes him universal. Okay, next up, we have Future. Women like Future's music, but Future is a man's artist. First, let's start with a psychology fact. 74% of men would rather feel unloved than disrespected. And his brand reflects what many men crave the most, which is to feel respected and admired. His music and his aura have a way of making you feel powerful and untouchable, even if it's toxic. That's why Future isn't just a star, he's a symbol. And the brand is emotional invincibility. Okay, A$AP Rocky. If Taste was a person, it would be him. Rocky brought a new element out of New York when he stepped on the scene, and then he made Paris call him a king. His music drops feel more like product drops than actual music. And that's because the brand is not the music, it's the aura, luxury, edge, and calculated experimentation. Okay, Prince, my blueprint of this episode. The voice, the moves, the outfits, the symbol. Prince wasn't just a musician, he was a universe. Androgynous, erotic, spiritual. He blurred gender and genre before it was marketable. Everything he touched was him. From the color purple to Paisley Park, he didn't just shape culture, he warped it around him. The brand is divine talent, erotic control, and total creative freedom. He didn't chase a movement, he made it. Once again, talent opens doors, but brand decides how long you stay in the room. You don't need to be the loudest, you just need to be the most felt. See you in the next episode.
Like, she spoke about brand, she spoke about Harry Styles, she spoke about Prince, and just how like branding can set you apart. Like, if you push like this cool, chilled girl, not too serious, not just like laid back, and your music kind of follows that, it's more on the teen space, like it's on the teenagers, and you're more likely to get a lot of support because teenagers, once they get on your back, it's like that market is huge, right? If you brand yourself as a conscious rapper, it's like the older people will most likely, or people that want to be like conscious just as much as you are or want to learn from your music, they'll be there, but they will not be as much as the teenagers are for a Justin Bieber or for a Harry Styles or for somebody like Miley Cyrus. Even if, you know, like the what you're pushing or the subject matter you're talking about is very, very, very important, and it pushes a certain narrative that is required, you might not do as well just because you are competing with a bunch of teenagers that choose, I'm supporting this person, and they go hard for that person. Whether or not that person is pushing any thing that has some form of value or brings any conversations to the table, it's just they like that person and they will ride for that person. So I think branding and just how you are seen out there, because even they hear him saying that like you're probably more a better actor than a rapper, is more of the fact that he's just been doing a lot of acting gigs and he's really good at that, and that's what comes forward. But if you look at his body of work and you were actually going to listen to his discography, you would actually find stuff that's actually interesting, right? And that should actually be timeless, and that should push the narrative that he's actually a good rapper, and it's not that he's better of an actor than a rapper, but it's just like, it's what it is.
He's as great an actor as is a rapper.
Yeah. But do you kind of think like being young is like, actually, let me not make this a question. Let me just make this a statement. I actually think that being young is an advantage in certain spaces, but not in other spaces. Like if you're in the entertainment industry and the spaces that look at your physical talent or what you're able to do physically, right? You are a sports star, you are a rapper, you are a musical artist and stuff like that. Like the younger you are, the more popular you will get. Like I saw a video of like a couple of years ago, probably when we were in high school, there's a girl that did SA Got Talent and she was just a poet. And she was
I remember her.
Maybe 10 or she was really young. She was really, really young. Yeah. And a lot of people were like, no, how did we get scammed? Some people were like, yo, bro, like she was so dope. This gave me goosebumps and whatever. And it's like, if an older person was to present the exact same thing, it might not have had the same impact that it did, because based on the fact that she was young, like when you're younger and you're presenting some form of, art, people tend to receive it a little bit more. But I don't find that to be the same thing with like professional spaces. I think when you're like, it's not to say art is not a professional space, but I'm talking about your corporate spaces where you have like, say, your investment, finance, legal, whatever it is. It's almost as though the younger you are, the more you're perceived to not know anything. And you kind of have to prove to people that you actually know something for people to take you seriously. Whereas on the other side, I feel like even if you're young and you do something, even if it's just like really like just okay, just for the fact that you're young, people will give you so much respect for it. But in that space, it's almost like, even if I'm in the same like level as somebody else who's been in the same role for like 10 years or whatever, but I can do it with my 2 years experience, it's almost like I have to compensate for the 10 years that I don't have, even though I know the same things or I'm able to
I low-key feel like you're making two different arguments.
Okay.
The other argument has a lot to do with how corporate is structured. It has either than like just capability, because you're talking capability on one end, and people can be young and capable, both in corporate and in art, entertainment, sports, whatever, right? They can be young and talented, but the difference is the recognition aspect. If you're young and you're talented, so say the second thing I wanted to say I'm tapped into is Lamine Yamal, right? Someone tweeted something like this era of football fans, especially the ones on the other side, the Galacticos, the Madrids, aren't ready for a character like Lamine because Messi was not as outspoken, right? Lamine is outspoken. Like he was on a press conference just before the Classico and he was talking about how he can say whatever he wants. I mean, these weren't his direct words, but like he can say whatever he wants because he's been winning. Like, and when they win, they can they have a right to say he can shut up. You know, so yes, but I'm saying that is in that fraternity well received, right? I mean, he's obviously going to get backlash from the people that aren't his fans, but I'm saying the culture does endorse that kind of thing, right? If you look at boxing, I remember listening to Midnight Miracle, and there was an episode where they were talking about, can't remember what book it was, but they referred to Muhammad Ali's peak and us not getting a chance to experience it because like Ali was to a certain extent viewed as arrogant at his peak, but like he was loved. Like in the fraternity was loved. In that, like at his peak, Ali chose not to go to Vietnam, and then he couldn't fight anymore and stuff. Like to go to war. And that feeds into this idea that when you're young and you are in sort of the entertainment space, or the sporting fraternity, it's very simple. It's very easy to be recognized, right? When you're young and you're working in corporate, or you're creating something in like sort of the real world, it's the only way you get recognized is if you're doing your own thing. So if you're a Mark Zuckerberg and you created your own startup and and it's a unicorn at a very young age. But if you are a Maureen that matriculated at 15 and then was done with undergrad at 18, maybe started a first job at 19, and then became an exec at 21, that's not. It's like you're doing what's expected of you.
But I also think it's very rare for like a 21-year-old, even when they're capable in a corporate space, to
actually
become an exec.
Yeah.
Whereas
so they get marginalized. I think that's the other thing. Yeah.
But if you are a Yamin and you are 17, right? What is 17?
Yeah.
And
you're playing
well, you'll get the recognition.
And get a chance in the first team.
You get your chances because you are there, you're good. But I'm saying the difference is that that space allows for that. The creative space, the physical talent space allows for that. The intellectual space, I think, is a little bit behind in terms of recognizing young talent and allowing it to shine in that space. Like in the way that even, because I think even...
So that's what the two arguments were, the recognition. So I think where my argument is flawed is that the Maureen that matriculates early, finishes varsity early, gets into work early, isn't going, her career growth trajectory isn't even going to go how it's supposed, even if they don't need to fast track her, even if
it's just well on her way.
She's gonna get marginalized.
Yeah.
More likely that she gets marginalized.
It's very rare for her to just find herself, even if she's capable, she probably would not find herself as an exec until she's like late or early 30s or something like that. You know? But any other thing you've been tapped into, my dog?
It was Lamine, man. Like, he's special, man. Like, he's just so special. And I just hope he's protected.
Yeah.
Because you've seen a lot of these young talents that...
He is Brazilian, is he?
No, Spanish.
Oh, Spanish. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's Moroccan, but he's Spanish.
Okay.
His grandmother moved to Spain to seek a better life.
Okay.
And but I think his dad is from Morocco. I mean, his dad's side's from Morocco. His mom's side is from Equatorial Guinea.
Interesting.
And it speaks to the whole thing around like how a lot of these European talents are African.
Everywhere else except, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah, what have you been tapped into?
Me, It's grad season.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for grad.
Yeah.
I'm excited, not just because I'm graduating this year, but also because, but also seeing other people graduate, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's so nice. I'm seeing a lot of Black people graduating, a lot of young Black people graduating. I'm seeing a lot of young people who went back to school after dropping out and actually just finishing their studies. I think it's such an inspirational time to just look at how young Black people are doing. It's also nice to see people celebrate. It's also, I think there's a chat we had a couple of weeks ago about when we were talking about the VAT increase, and you were saying like, yeah, but don't people just deserve like sweets? Don't they just deserve like really nice things? And it's like, I think this is like a sweet part for me, like a sweet spot for me, just seeing people celebrate. Even people that like would say, yo, I didn't have a lot of money to plan for my grad, but they will put something together and it will look beautiful. It will look nice. I love seeing it. I am a champion
And the
for that.
community around all of that, man. I came across this post. I can't remember why I came across the post, but this girl posted on TikTok that she can't attend a grad because she doesn't have money. And then the people were in the comment section like, yo, where are you based? She's like, she's in Hammanskraal. And then there was a makeup artist that said she'll do her makeup. There was someone that said, yo, I'll drive you to your grad. Someone offered to get her clothes. So
Exactly. I love
the spirit of
such
Ubuntu.
It's such a beautiful time to see how people just come together to celebrate people who are graduating and how people respect that. Like even people that didn't go to school or like didn't go to varsity, not because they couldn't academically or money wise, but they chose not to, respect their space so much and they give that the respect it deserves. I think that's nice. It's nice to see. It's nice to see us celebrate. But yeah, I'm looking forward to mine. I think it's a big moment for me. I didn't graduate when for my first degree. So this one, like, I'm like, yeah,
was
we
it
need
COVID?
to go. Yeah, it was COVID.
Oh,
I couldn't. So do you know what it's like, ne? Like in my house, everybody has a picture of their graduation, like their graduation pictures. My dad keeps those and frames them properly.
And then
everybody has those.
And then with you,
I have nothing.
Damn.
I had nothing. That's about to change.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. Yeah. So that's what I've been tapped into. Also, just like preparing for that, getting people to assist with like taking pictures, deciding if I want to do my makeup or not. Who's gonna do my outfit? Like, especially with like the makeup for me, bro. Like somebody once told me like my face is not easy to make up.
Wow.
And that
that's so hilarious. What does that even mean?
I was like, no, bro. I was like, I don't know what you mean. Am I ugly? Are you saying I'm ugly?
Yeah.
But like, it's like I'm deciding whether I want to have makeup on or not. And if I'm going to get somebody else to do my makeup because I don't know how to do my makeup. So it's that stuff. But it's really exciting. The general like feel around is just like excitement. I'm really excited to do it. The other thing I've been tapped into, which is not so great, is I saw a video this week of a lady talking about how modern society has made the independent woman like to not need anybody.
And a lot of girls now punishing themselves for being emotional and sensitive and wanting a partner and wanting to depend on someone, because now the image of a strong, independent woman is someone who doesn't depend on anyone and who doesn't get emotional, doesn't get jealous, doesn't care. And so you also have two contradictory messages, because you have therapy culture saying to girls, open up more and more about your problems, be more emotional, tell everyone how you feel. But then you also have strong, independent women don't care. They never get emotional. And if they do get an emotional, it's trauma or an attachment issue. And it's like, that's a really cruel thing to teach emotional young girls, and confusing, because it's like, of course they feel that way because they're human. But now they're being told that that's, a medical issue or something that they should heal.
And that has been to the detriment of the development of women in general. And she was basically saying that we say that when women are being vulnerable or sharing their emotions and they're going to therapy and they're told, yay, talk about your emotions, talk about how you feel. It's great and it's amazing. But there's another part that says like, yeah, if you're an independent woman, you don't need anybody. Like you can just survive on your own. You can just do your own thing, right? And you know how I feel about this whole thing of like independent women and not needing people. I don't subscribe to that. I think it's trash. I don't think it works. I don't think it even exists in its like fundamental form. I don't agree with it. But one thing that that whole conversation made me think about is just how we are so medicated even just as a society, medicated in the sense that when you experience an uncomfortable feeling, it is labeled something and you have to heal it, right? When you experience some sort of setback and you express what that setback makes you feel, or you are actually going through the emotions of what that setback does to you as a human being, the disappointment, the anger, maybe sadness, whatever emotions you might be feeling, that's classified as some form of unhealthy thing that you have to talk to a therapist about, or that you have to unpack with like whatever a medical professional, or that you have to heal with some form of medication.
They spoke of this on Omondi's podcast. I'm butchering it, but like he spoke on like it's right that you feel saddened by the current state of the world.
Yeah.
I know it's heartbreaking. You should be heartbroken. That means your heart is working. If you're heartbroken and it's distressing, that means that you are sane. You are a functioning individual. If you are uncomfortable and you're maladjusted to a sick society, it means that you are healthy. I am mourning for all of us, but also I can't embrace despair, even though it sometimes feels very attractive and sensible to do so.
Yeah.
Hear me, like it's normal. You wouldn't be normal if you weren't sad that like there's a kid in Gaza that has a dream of just having some sugar.
Just things, just sugar.
Yeah.
And there's people that are referred to as refugees and they're being moved to America on some free ticket. And there's kids in Gaza that are just like...
Yeah.
No.
Those are the fattest refugees I've ever seen in my life, bro.
In the meantime, oh shit, it's happening tonight. In the place to be.
I mean, you know, and they have a free pass.
But when you think of the people that leave the Congo,
yo, dude,
to go to France on those boats, and like a lot of them die on their way. You think of Francis Ngannou's story, right? It's laughable what's currently happening, you know, with the whole Afrikaner refugee thing,
bro.
So yeah, but back to what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
A part of it is, I think, a lot around the oversimplification of femininity and masculinity. I think.
Let me know.
Like, I think that we give credit where it's not due. Like, I don't want to make an example that I came across, but like, you can't say that, or it's not progressive if you're breaking down or you're saying you don't need men because you're able to do something that comes easier to a man, but you're capable of doing it.
I mean, I can agree with that.
Like, like carrying your
Yeah.
groceries.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I can just carry my groceries. Like, I don't need a
Yeah.
man. Like, it's chivalrous when a man opens the
it.
door for you, but you can open the door yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I say we go to the extreme end. Like, not, this is not to say masculinity and femininity. Like this is not to say men are not inherently more masculine than women and women aren't inherently more feminine than men. But I'm just saying that, like, we've gotten to a position where, and this is also something that men are guilty of, where we can say that, like, we're capable of doing something. So it completely negates the existence or the importance of the other gender.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I think of when you say something like that? Is like just because something, like what you're saying, just because something comes easier or you're able to do it, like, better, not even better, like, comes easier to you because you're masculine, you can carry things a little bit more easier than I can do it, does not mean that I cannot do it, but it also does not mean that I shouldn't learn how to do certain things that are important for my survival or just for my existence, right? Like what you're saying about, like, carrying groceries up the stairs, whatever. I don't like carrying groceries to the third floor, right? I don't like it. It doesn't mean that I can't do it. Doesn't mean that if a man was to do that for me, I wouldn't actually appreciate it.
That's what I'm saying. We need to also just accept our natural place in the world, right? Like, as a man, right, you are naturally more fulfilled just being a problem solver. So as a man, you actually feel more fulfilled being in a position where the women in your life feel protected in your presence, or feel that you can do things for them that they like, that could be harder for them to do, but like that they could be capable of doing.
Yeah.
Right? Add to that also,
Yeah.
right? The fact that you can't replace a gender role. So if I grew up in a single parent household, I can't say my mom played the role of my mom and my dad. I just didn't have a dad.
Yeah.
You see, I think that is also problematic in society,
Yeah.
where people grow up in single parent households,
Okay.
and then it's like, my mom played the role. Like, your mom can't play dad,
You're
unfortunately.
right. I think I can agree with that to a certain extent, in that, and the only reason I said to a certain extent is you said, like, problem solving. And I think
No, that's a completely, I was just saying secondary to that, the statement I made regarding a single parent household was separate from the statement I made just saying men are natural born problem solvers.
Yeah, but even with that,
But that's
right?
not to say women aren't problem solvers.
Yeah, but problem solving is a life skill. You know what I mean?
I didn't, but did you hear how I put it?
I'm hearing you.
I said something that, and this starts off with what I said in the beginning. Like, it does not mean that because you can perform a trait that a masculine can perform better, you shouldn't be able to. It's like a man should be able to do everything that's needed in the house. A man should be able to clean. A man should be able to cook.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental in life, right? But
you need that to survive.
But that's not to say that a man that has a woman in his life is in a better position if he's with a woman that's more fulfilled performing those roles for him.
100%. That I can.
That's literally what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying it separately.
I agree with that. Because to me, it sounded like you were saying that problem solving as a characteristic is more like it fulfills men more. And I sort of disagree with that because I think that problem solving in itself is just
No, but problem solving.
because problem solving is a skill.
Yeah, it is a skill, but like the context in which I was saying it is. The context I get.
Okay. Just as a standalone, I think that statement can be interpreted in so many ways. If you're like, man, I just like, problem solving.
I'm not saying women should lazy around.
No, but I think not to say they should lazy around.
Or women shouldn't have autonomy. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, yes. I hear exactly what you're saying because you actually gave it context.
Okay.
But just as a statement, I feel like if you just say that line as it is, I think it can just be interpreted in so many ways. Because I could think of, there's so many women that like love problem solving, that are fulfilled when they solve problems, that actually are like their entire life has been place them in spaces where they have to problem solve. Like, I mean, just the example you gave about like people growing up in
like a single parent
household, you have to problem solve in that situation. And you have to, because
and there are situations, and this is not to say, there are situations where if there was a man in the house, he would perform that duty and a woman is performing it.
Yeah.
Right? But that doesn't make her a man.
Never.
That's why I'm saying, like, you can't say, I can't say my mom was my mom and my dad.
Yeah, no, that I don't think that's possible. And I can't say my dad was my dad and my mom.
No.
Like, he was just my dad.
Yeah.
And he probably got certain skills or learned certain
He
behavior.
went the extra mile.
No. Just learn
because of circumstance, he had to go the extra mile.
That he had to learn how to do certain things. He had to learn how to do my hair because my mom was not around, for example.
But that's exactly what I mean by going the extreme. Like, we shouldn't, like, I think we are too. That's what I'm saying. We're at the extreme end of feminine versus masculine. Like, we shouldn't fear outlining how doing hair is a female thing. Like, not like getting a fresh cut, but like, dude, styling hair, doing braids and all that. Like, if I have a daughter and for whatever reason the mom's not around and I need to do her hair, cool. But that's not. I'm not better at it. I'm not engineered. I'm not naturally built to be like to thrive at that. Women are naturally built to be better. Do you know
what I feel uneasy about?
Okay.
Is something like that for me feels more like a skill. And a skill, I think, can be refined over time, whether you're male or female.
Yes. I don't disagree with. That's why you could have probably the best chef in the world is male. You know, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm talking about things at a macro. Probably some of the best hairdressers, some of the best makeup artists are men. But I'm talking about it at a macro. Who are the individuals at a macro that thrive in this thing? Who are naturally inclined to do it and feel fulfilled?
Do you know how I would approach that is if you're talking about the nurturing and who it comes easier to.
What roles you see, what roles and traits? It's like if you look at nursing, for example, right? Why do you have more female nurses than male nurses? Because it's a more nurturing role.
Okay.
You get me? I feel like the fact that we've gotten to these extremes, like we are so steadfast on like confronting the truth in the roles that like life and sometimes I feel like it's also because you have roles where men naturally thrive more, and because of the patriarchal society that is embedded in like the fabric of the world, those roles, people get paid more. So now the extreme is also incentivized because of that.
Yeah.
So women want to be seen as being better at those roles and thrive to be better. And that doesn't mean them working towards being better does not make them better. They do. Like if you work on something, you become better at it.
Yeah.
You're just not more inclined. Like you could have, like you are built to be better at something else. But because the world compensates people, like if the world was structured in a way that nurturing roles were compensated way more than roles that lean towards the masculine side, men were going to do those nurturing roles more.
And would we say those roles are just naturally for men? I mean, the patriarchal society would probably do that, would probably say that this nurturing role that pays more is more suitable to a man because he is, I don't know, pays more attention to detail or whatever it is, apparently is attributable to a man's.
It goes back to the whole Michael J. Sandel argument, the moral limits of the market, right? Sorry. How we price things, unfortunately we're there, but how we price things, right, is not representative of, if you're just thinking about it rationally, it's not representative of how things must be priced. I think if you come with the assumption that how things are priced is how the world needs to work, then the entire argument becomes flawed. So if we're saying that because a founder founded a startup, they are willing to, or because someone is the CEO of ShopRite, it's fine that they get 1,000,000% more income than the person working at the counter because they came up with the idea. And we're not thinking about it from the context of, man, this person is doing the really hard labor. Like, we're not saying they should get compensated as much as that guy, but it doesn't make sense that guy earns 20 million a week and they get 100 and something million a year. You get me? Like,
yeah, I hear you. Do you know what? Something feels unsettling to me when, like, so I can understand the explanation around you saying, well, the nurturing stuff and the activities you would do to show that, like, to be a nurturing person are more likely to be done by women, right? And that sort of makes sense to me. So if you think about taking care of the household, taking care of the babies, making sure that the babies are clean.
You have a therapist, right?
Yes, I do.
Male or female?
Female.
Black or white?
White.
Okay, what was the framework in your decision to choose a therapist?
I mean, I wanted somebody, so she's a clinical psychologist, so I wanted somebody who kind of has the educational background of the thing. I wanted somebody who would understand where I come from as a woman, but who would not necessarily feel sorry for me because I'm a Black woman. I don't know if that makes sense. So that
informed the white.
Yes.
So
I wanted somebody who's removed from.
So you wanted someone that could relate.
Yeah.
So someone who would empathize with you.
Yeah.
Right. So that was your decision to go with female.
Yeah.
And you wanted someone that could relate to your experiences as a female, and you wanted
outside of my blackness.
Outside of your blackness, and that's why you chose a white female.
Yeah.
Right. I can say the exact same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, my framework does not have the limitation of the race that you brought up. And I landed on a Black female.
Yeah. But you could also very well land on a Black male.
No. It wouldn't be as fulfilling.
But that's you specifically. What I'm saying is, another person could have easily landed on a black
No,
male.
I do have a friend who's got a black male therapist. I'm
Yeah.
not denying that. But I would make the argument even to them that
it's not fulfilling.
no, not that it's not fulfilling, that the experience that you have as a black male having the conversation with a black female is you're way better off than with a black male. And that even comes across in our discussions, like what he is able to unpack with the black male versus what I'm able to unpack with the black female.
What do you think is actually
It's-
what
it's-
are you
no,
able?
no, I'm just
Because I'm
reinforcing
just-
my nurturing argument.
I hear it, and I guess it when you mentioned that more females or more women are nurses, it makes sense to me because that's a role that requires a lot of care, a lot of nurturing, and
I'm sure more clinical psychologists and therapists are female.
could be right, but at the same time. And I agree with that. And generally, I do agree with that. What I'm not sure I agree with is even that. Like, I don't, because my thing is, even as a black female, and based on whatever choices I made specifically, I would think that, like, your friend would want to have somebody, because I specifically said I wanted somebody removed from my blackness so that I can just have a separate view from what I'm experiencing, at least, right? But like, I understand somebody who is
And
in
you're
my
not,
position.
I've actually come across, because I have these conversations a lot. I've actually come across a black girl, similar age range as you, white, female therapist.
Yeah,
Probably, I didn't go into the reasons, but probably same reasoning.
yeah. That's not what. So say I would imagine there's another person who's the same age as me, who's black and who's probably has the same spec as me and has a black female therapist, right? And probably because
it's fine. but you see the
wait,
spectrum. You see the spectrum.
wait.
It's closer. The person is closer to black female therapist than they are at a macro. We're closer to black female therapists from white female therapists with your experience same spec than we are to black male, white male.
But I can also argue that it's also because I'm a woman and I want to relate to another woman, right? Whereas a guy could be in the same position as me and be like, I want a guy, I want a black guy, I want a guy who has the educational background so that spec is for them because they are on the other side of the thing.
The black guy, the part where the you want someone who can empathize with your experience, right? You're better off. That's what I'm saying. I even like from my observation.
Yes.
Right, because this is my observation.
Of course.
And going back off of like my guy friend who's got a male black therapist, right? The person being able to empathize with your experience. You're better off as a black man having a black woman empathize with your experience than having a black man empathize with your experience.
I've never thought about it that way. Actually, I've never thought about it that way. In my head, it has always been that I would imagine that.
No, but this is in the context of therapy, right?
Yeah,
I'm not saying in the context of life, right? Like generally, because the thing about if I'm gonna be having a conversation, right, with a guy, right, with my cousin or with my nephew, right, the conversation is very be a man leaning. You know, and that manifests even in the context of therapy.
Okay.
You know, so there are many a situation where I can tell my nephew who's worried about a sister of mine that, hey, bro, it's women, they're like that. Like, just be a man. You get me? And that's not what you're trying to get out of therapy. And that's what you would get. That's what you could potentially get out of a male therapist. And
okay,
you get me? So
okay,
and that's been my observation in conversation and just understanding. And I actually was not deep in the belief that that's how it was prior to understanding it from a guy's context, because I was like, probably because they're they're well versed in this, then, and they're knowledgeable on it, that wouldn't be the approach. But at the end of the day, you are certain things before you are certain things. So I could be
that is true.
I could be a lawyer, but before I am a lawyer, I am a black man.
True.
You hear me? So
you can't wear the black man outside, like out of yourself. And but you can wear the lawyer out. You know what I mean? Like, I get you. I get you. And I guess probably that's something that went into my decision making as well, to be like, I know that, and for me, it was the purpose around what I wanted to understand myself a little bit more. But my space is surrounded by black women, right? And I get my perspective from black women most of the time. I wanted to get a perspective from somebody outside of my black woman experience. But you're right, I didn't go white male or black male. I went white female, which makes sense.
Bro,
to
they're
me.
even with my black therapist, right? They are deterrents where I will probably get to a point where I'll be like, okay, maybe I need another therapist that isn't that well versed in the black experience. So it's like a cleaner slate, but it's going to be white female before it is black male.
Okay, I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's something to think about for me.
Yeah.
I think that's something to think about, because if we just roll back into this conversation, it started with me saying I think we're very much medicated, like we've put a name into
and then where
everything.
this started is me talking about us going to the very extremes of femininity and masculinity, and that being flawed.
Shucks, which it is. I don't know. But anyway, I think just in our spaces, as we are differently, I think there is something to pick on from that. And I think it's a thing about excellence. And I think in the beginning of the year when we were having conversations, I was like, this year for me is about execution. I want to see execution. I want to see people do things. And I think excellence for me, I think excellence is, you have to be excellent. It has to be a culture for yourself. I think we measure excellence in so many different ways. I measure excellence in my own way that I've defined for myself. And I think when we have those conversations about therapists and you choosing whichever therapist you think is more suitable for you and me choosing a therapist that's more suitable for myself, I think it's also very important that you think about what you want to get and where that would get you. Like if you choose a therapist so for example, I want excellence. And when I choose a therapist, I want somebody that can, as much as they can play therapist, they can also play life coach, because I want to get to that excellence. Because my understanding of it is that if I don't play in my excellence and I try to be humble about where I want to go, even in the smallest way of defining excellence, I do not necessarily benefit anybody. I don't benefit myself and I don't benefit those around me. So when I think about therapy in itself, I think about it as a fuel for me to actually get to the excellence that I want to get to. Think about Wendy Rhodes. I mean, Wendy Rhodes from Billions took it to the extreme. Like she would get into your brain and she would make you do something that you wouldn't want to do. But think about somebody that's able to fuel your brain so much that like when you do have a chat with them or after you have a chat with them, the things you considered more difficult are more easier to do because you're able to break that down and made it simpler for yourself. And thinking about that just makes me think, bro, like being excellent or being humble about what you can achieve or your excellence does not serve you, and it does not serve anybody around you. You actually need to strive for it. Whatever excellence means for you, whatever excellence means in your space or whatever you're interested in, it's like if you do not become excellence, you're robbing people of experiences. You're robbing people of opportunities. You're robbing people of new ideas that they could have been getting from you and building from you. So yeah, I think about that just from what we were talking about earlier, Uri. As much as you want to be humble about success and you want to be humble about like I'm just a little person, that does not serve you and it does not serve anybody around you or the surroundings that you're in. So
is that popular? Playing small is not humility, it's disobedience.
It is. I think it is because you've been given the talents, like that story in the Bible about the talents. We've all been given talents, 1 talent, 3 talents, 5 talents. Guy with 5 talents doubles the thing. The one with 3 talents also. The one with 1 talent just like hides the talent and is like, oh no, like I know you would, you're a capable person. You wouldn't want to lose your money. So I put it away. Didn't save it. It didn't end interest. It end nothing. You just put it away. And I think that's the exact same thing. It's like, if you're not using your talents, if you're not striving for success or excellence in whatever you are capable or talented in, you're not serving anybody except, not even yourself. In fact, you're not serving anybody. And I think we should be thinking about that a little bit more, that like practicing the things that make you different from everybody else, the talents that you've been given, the gifts that you've been given, and striving to be excellent in those things, not just for other people, not just for the recognition, but as an obedient exercise, like as you being an obedient person to God or to whoever you pray to or to whatever spiritual being that has in your life, maybe serves everybody else more than you being humble about your experiences or you hiding around certain experiences so that you don't get the praises, because somehow that's considered to be, you know, yeah.
I fully agree with that. No rebuttal.
Okay.
I guess we're at the question.
We're at the question.
Okay, yeah. It's my week, right?
Yes, it is your week.
I'm giving it to Gift.
Wow, thank you.
I'm about to fry your brain.
I was like, my brain is fried. Please don't fry it even more. I don't believe.
Gift. What's the question?
Oh, the question.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Gifty.
The question that I have, it's an awkward question.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
So I just want you to imagine, maybe years come, maybe, let me say 50 years, 100 years come, that day arrived where you are no longer here in this earth. What do you want your friends and family to remember you?
Oh, that's not an awkward question.
It's not awkward.
That's not awkward. Let me think. I want my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids to be free. To be free. And I mean that in every sense of the word. I want them to be able to explore, to exist in the world without fear. Like, not afraid of anyone, not afraid of anything, just no fear. Just like...
You sound like Nina Simone.
I'll tell you what freedom is to me. No fear. I mean, really, no fear. If I could have that half of my life, no fear. Lots of children have no fear. That's the closest way, that's the only way I can describe it. That's not all of it, but it is something to really, really feel.
Actually, yeah, really, just. Yeah, there's a video of her just saying
freedom. It's no fear.
No fear. Yeah. And you explain that in kids. That's the closest thing I can of falling in love. I think exactly that. I think I want my grandkids or my great-grandkids to be like, yo, we had a grandparent or great-grandparent who was just so free and laid out this path for us so that we also can just be free and exist in this world as we were meant to exist. Yeah, that's me. What's yours, my dog?
I just wanted to be open to interpretation.
Oh, I think you've said that before.
Yeah.
I think you have said that before.
Yeah, I wanted to be open to interpretation. I don't want the experience to be more or less than what it actually is. So what they had access to or what they have access to, they should interpret it however they interpret it and take it as is.
I think that's scary.
Yeah.
Because it's just like...
Because I just feel like even if I wanted to dictate how people should view me, they're always going to view me from the privacy of their own minds.
That's true.
So I wanted to be open to interpretation.
Damn. Okay. With that said, ladies and gentlemen...
Peace sign for the
peace out.